to drink. Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Jimmy Palumbo Show. That's right. My name is Jimmy Palumbo, and I, of course, am the host of the Jimmy Palumbo Show here live on YouTube and LinkedIn and some other bullshit sites. I have no idea where it's been
Facebook.
live, Facebook Live, all this different stuff. But meanwhile, I am coming to you live from the Undefeated Media Studios in downtown Wyckoff, getting involved here via, of course, we have behind the double glass, triple glass. Nobody has more glass than Jimmy Palumbo. We've got Chris Gucci coming aboard. Chris, how are we doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm having a good day so far. Let's have a good show. Happy to see you, buddy.
Chris, of course, is coming from downtown Matawan, which I'm due to make a guest appearance down there on your show, which was funny today, by the way. Please check out the Chop Sports Daily Show. Is that the official title, Chop Sports Daily Show?
Yeah, the CSD, okay. Chop Sports Daily.
Chop Sports Daily. Funny show. Dave Sergio, Chris Gucci have a lot of funny it's sports, but it's sports and bar arguments, which I love. You guys had some funny
interactive banter is what makes the show. We're able to go off the rails a little bit today.
And really, it's to me, it's really an asshole Packer fan talking to an asshole Cowboy fan. I just love to say that. Dave's probably listening and say he just called me an asshole, didn't he? But me and Dave had some funny texts over the weekend, of course. Just some funny stuff with the Rangers and everything and his kids. And I love those kind of texts over the weekend. But this is show number 65 to get back down to basics here on the Jimmy Palumbo Show. Of course, sitting to my right, who I didn't even really introduce, is your friend and mine, Mr. Doug Friedman, who is president and CEO and CFO and national sales director here at Undefeated Media.
Yes, sir.
It's Doug's place with Connor in the back. I have another glass way in the back. I have Connor behind the glass.
A lot of glass.
And Connor's working on my new stand-up reel, which is exciting. But this is show number 65, folks. And let me tell you something. Number 65, Chris, listen. There were so many different number 65s I could have choose from. I think I had, with all the sports and all the things, I had a choice of 3. Okay.
Bro.
This might be the worst.
And you're going to mention 3 guys right now, I have a feeling.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, first of all, the minute you hear number 65, the first guy you come to mind is definitely Phil Hughes from the Yankees. And the reason why I hate Phil Hughes is because I always felt if I was the size of Phil Hughes and threw as hard as he did, I would have been either like Roger Clemens level or Randy Johnson. And he was the guy. And if my brother's listening, he's gonna drive off the road. He was the classic player who was always the gonna be. Oh my God, Phil Hughes is going to be really good. And then the second year, hey, we got Phil Hughes back. He's going to be really good. Next thing you know, he's on the team would seem like 11 years. And you're like, and he stunk. And the Yankees got rid of him.
I feel like the whole Phil Hughes and Jabba Chamberlain era is what like ushered in the new age of baseball that you hate. It was the first time you heard about pitch counts and innings limits and the Jabba rules.
And he's going to come and he dominates. And all of a sudden you're watching the games and, and of course, so I'm not going to, that's enough time for Phil Hughes. But he ended up pitching for a while in Major League, so good for him. The other one I was going to go with, because it's near and dear to my heart, number 65 of the New York Giants, center Bart Oates. I didn't realize how good Bart Oates was. And I was going to, he went to he went to a total of 6 Pro Bowls. He won 2 Super Bowls, starting center in the league, I think for about 10 years. To me, he's one of those guys. He's a borderline possible Hall of Famer as a center, but I'm guessing they don't put centers in that often. So you got to be a total stud to get in as a center.
Yeah, interior lineman, it's a tough one to.
Right, but Bart Oates is definitely in that. If he's not a Hall of Famer, he's in that category where most guys land now, which is really, really good player. You know what I mean? Because I think the main reason is in the NFL or NBA, once you start. And then 9 years go by and no one's all the draft picks that come in and no one's, unseat you. That to me is a sign of a good player. He's starting and when he doesn't start, they get rid of you. There's no backup. It's it's over. your run is over. But he went to San Francisco and actually played 2 years, made the Pro Bowl there.
Yeah, I think we talked about Bart Oates on this show at one point or another. Maybe he
probably did it during it. Listen, we're in the 60s now, and this is troubling.
I think I had brought him up about something to do with the 49ers or the Giants. I might have asked that question.
You might have.
Anyway,
what player? On. But anyway, listen, that's enough. But the guy I have to go with for show number 65, folks, is I'm going to say a statement now. Ladies and gentlemen, the best pitcher in the major leagues this year is Nasty Nestor Cortez Jr. Now, I know he's not technically the best pitcher in the league, but I just love this guy. Why? Because he's a wiffle ball pitcher. Although I would have been better than him in wiffle ball. His ERA is 1.50. He's 5-1 in 10 starts. He's got he only 60 innings pitched. He only gave up 10 earned runs. His whip is walks, hits per innings pitched is .867. He was a 36th round draft pick. He bounced around, and I had to do some research. What I love about him is he only throws between 89 and 92 miles an hour. He's like, but he's not a junk ball pitcher. It's really, but the cool thing is he has different arm angles, different ways he grips the ball, different body language. He changes everything on the mound. And for a hitter who gets locked in, only way sometimes to confuse him is by giving him a different look on every different pitch. And I thought he had been doing this his whole career, but it turns out he was a dominant minor league pitcher. Whenever he came up to the major leagues, he struggled a little bit. And he finally got with a coach when he was with the Mariners, Rob Marcello, who's one of the best pitching coaches in baseball. And he went up to him and said, "Hey, man, I'm a great pitcher in the minor leagues, but my few times I came up, I suck. Like, what made me so good in the minor leagues and not in the major leagues, besides obviously everyone's better?" And he actually, the whole computer stuff, the database research, he actually said, okay, your different arm angles, let's combine that with what we learn on the computer. And that's what makes him a great pitcher. And I know you've watched all the Yankee games this year. He's fun to watch. You always feel like the other team is going to score 9 runs in an inning. And next thing you know, he throws 8 pitches and he's walking off the mound. I've never seen anything as bad as Joey Gallo is. Cortez has been this good. I mean, and he was really good at the end of last year when his ERA was 2.9.
How about this, Jimmy? He was really good all last year. It's just because he didn't have the acumen or the pedigree coming along.
No one knew
took them so long to realize it. It was like, oh, we'll give him a spot start here, but it was always they'll figure him out. And even the Yankees organization kind of took a really long time to warm up.
Even to start the season or in early spring training, nobody was like, "Hey, we're going to have Cortez throw a little bit." Like and anyway, number 65, Nestor Cortez Jr. Pleasure to watch. I love watching him. Who do you got, Chris, for your 65?
I have the only player in NBA history and the only other player in any sport to wear number 65 remaining, because Jimmy named all other 3, and that's obviously an embellishment. But George Ratkovitz, born in 1922, right? He played for the Philadelphia 76ers. They actually sell Ratkovitz jerseys online right now in the old school Philly because he's the only NBA player to wear 65. So for that reason, he has his jersey selling now. And he is straight out of the Lindblom Math and Science Academy. So,
all right,
NBA.
George
turned out NBA players over there at the academy.
Well, I'm going to add a new segment to this beginning because we're in the high numbers. Your job, besides having your guy, you have to list an NBA player who wore a number. Now we're up to 65, so it's slim picking. So your goal is to pick your guy, but also as an aside, you will mention
an NBA player that wore this number.
I don't think. Over 65, we may have one.
We've talked about it on one of them too, where it was like, I think I've gone this route before where I've said there's only been one NBA player that wore this number. And when I see that, I'm like, all right, at least this stands out.
Right. And wasn't there one number where it was never 63, maybe?
Never. There's a couple that have never been worn.
I love it. I love stuff like that. Anyway. All right. Well, that's it.
Yeah, that's actually, you're right. That's what I did do.
We have Nestor Cortez and George Ratkovitz from Philadelphia
Lindblom Math and Science Academy.
Oh, wow, we're really stretching.
They churn out NBA prospects left and right at a Lindblom Math and Science Academy.
All right, well, listen, that's when you get to 65. We're like 8 episodes past my birthday already. 57. My God. All right, well, now it's time to my favorite part of the show. This is where Chris gets to get on me for being lazy, fat, and other various things. And it's sponsored by, this is the Jimmy Palumbo Weight Situation, sponsored by Absolute Eyewear. Now, of course, when I say situation, you don't know where I'm going to go. But this is sponsored by Absolute Eyewear, one of the big-time sponsors of Chop Sports and Jimmy Palumbo Show, 42 Main Street, Woodbridge, New Jersey. They are opticians, and they're family-owned. Brother Craig and Janine, his sister Michonne, right in Woodbridge, family-owned, the whole bit. Craig was my right center fielder for my softball team. Janine played softball and was better than Craig, but she couldn't play on our team. They have everything there. Prescription eyewear, prescription sunglasses, non-prescription sunglasses. They got glasses for the kids. They got contacts. You go there. They do eye exams there. And then, of course, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Absolute Eyewear. They have Ray-Ban, Coach, Ralph Lauren, Jimmy Choo, Silhouette, Michael Kors, Vogue, Maui Jim, Costa Del Mar, and newly Oakley. I'm dying to say Charles Oakley, but so that's my Bob Shepard, of course. Listen, you get $100 off a complete pair of prescription glasses when you mention this podcast. They're 16 years in the biz. They're open all the time, except for Wednesday and Sunday. And Chris, why are they closed on Sunday?
It's football Sunday.
And why are they closed on Wednesday?
That would be softball day. And look, you threw me for a curve. I almost mixed it up.
I went with Sunday. That's a lot of hesitation there. But we've been doing this now for almost a year and a half, and Chris still gets a little shaky, which I appreciate. But go down there and talk to them because they're really nice people. And I'm telling you, when you leave there, you don't feel like a jerk off, which I still think should be on every sign they put up on. It should be on top of it. Welcome to Absolute Eyewear. When you leave here, you don't feel like a jerk off. And of course, on a side note, stupidly, Chris Gucci and Dave Sturcio, who are owners of Chop Sports, actually can't see. And they have a sponsor called Absolute Eyewear. That to me would be like this is the equivalent.
Jimmy, I have an idea about this.
If you guys had a restaurant as a sponsor, but you were starving to death.
I have an idea. Like, this is my idea, Jimmy. And I think this is something that I was going to talk to Dave about. I'm talking to you. This is an idea that I've had over the past couple of days that's been materializing. Let's make a vlog about it. We have Absolute Eyewear as a sponsor for Chop Sports for all this time, and yet I can't see and Dave can't see. So we're going to go in there and we're going to make it a video and do it a little commercial kind of deal. And then we'll put it out on our YouTube and it'll be part of the advertisement.
We'll all show up. We'll all show up and at Absolute Eyewear. We're bust balls.
And I'm going to bring a picture of Jimmy Palumbo so they can put it up, a picture of my choice,
I'm
of
wearing
course.
Right here, glasses from Absolute Eyewear. And so that's it. And they are they're good people. Go check them out. Absolute Eyewear, 732-326-3937 in Woodbridge, New Jersey. Now, weight situation. Now, I've been struggling. It's been all over the news. ESPN's been covering my weight loss very heavily. Last week, I came in at 200 on the dot. I got my fat ass on the scale. And this week, I exercised more. I ate well. Had a couple beers yesterday playing softball and stuff. I played pickleball intently. Weather's been nice, been feeling good. And I came in this week, Jimmy Palumbo's weight, 197.99, which means that's a 2.1 weight loss in a week. I think that's a decent job right there. I felt good, was out a little bit, doing some good walks, running, pickleball, running around like a jackass. And so, listen, 2 pounds, not the end of the world, but we're heading in the direction. And so far, I've really lost. Now I've lost 20 pounds since we started this way too long ago. I think we started in end of November. So it's really been 6 or 7 months.
Yeah,
so I'm
and
not where I want to be.
If you want to be technical, you've technically gained weight since your birthday.
Well, yes, that I have, but that's because I ballooned up immediately after.
And then lost weight subsequently since then, but you're still
I was honest about that. I had birthday dinners, I had all kinds of stuff going on.
So depending on what your benchmark is, like at what point are you gonna set a new Mendoza line? We'll call it the Mendoza line here.
We kind of were joking around.
Is 200 pounds the Mendoza line? Like Major League Batting Average, Jimmy's weight, same deal. Like if you're
so you're saying I can't really go over 200 anymore is what you're saying.
Ever again. That's
I agree with that. I agree with that. I'll go with that. And if I do have 1 week, that'll be a discussion. I'm at 197.9 and I think I'm gonna. I think I look like I lost a little weight in the face, maybe a little bit. It's been 20 pounds. That's not bad. But I really even haven't. I think there's going to be a week. It's possible it's possible I can come in 4 pounds overweight next week, always. But it's also possible I can lose 4 or 5 pounds in one of these weeks. There's no doubt about that. Depending on how much I really exercise and get out there and really focus. But, if I didn't have a couple of beers yesterday and a half of the tuna sandwich, if I had stuck with my, salads and, that kind of thing, I probably would have been under even more weight, but I'm not. Of course, I'm looking at the show here and we've got no comments here at all. So even me being a fat bastard, although there's 7 people listening, not supposed to say how many, but they see it up there anyway. Then they call you a loser.
Well, do they know that you're live? And if they put a question, comment, or concern in the comments section, that you can answer it live for them today?
Well,
I don't know if they know that.
My social media guy was supposed to post to let everybody know I'm going live today. But
we're live right now. You guys can comment in the comments section.
What am I going to I'm commenting by talking.
Not you, them. They can comment or ask a question.
Anybody listening, ask a question, and we'll bust balls about it. But I will get back because I'm new to this live thing. Okay,
and here you go.
I'm new to this. It's a little creepy.
Jimmy, you are looking a little gaunt.
Yeah,
a little sickly.
And that's my buddy Mike right there, who refuses to put his regular name in, Mick Rue. Mike, go on your profile and type your real name. Don't hide behind. Looks like a microphone. Rue.
Like it's short for microphone, Mike.
No, his name is Mike Ruane, and he directed and produced Game Day, which led to Beer League. And I haven't talked to him in a while. Matter of fact, I got to give him a call later on. He's probably going to bust my balls on that. So that's my weight. That's it. So I did pretty good. You don't have too much to get on me for. Of course, you attacked me for being, but we're that.
I'm just calling out the obvious, and I need to know what to consider in the green or in the red here, because if it's kind of hovering around, and I feel like there's a lot of gray areas surrounding what is good and what's bad. That's why I want a new line to establish.
I've been in this 196 to 202 arena for a little too long, so we got to break out of it.
So we got to break out of it. So now 202 is not on the table anymore. 200, anything over 200, you're a lot. How about this? If you go above 200 pounds again, you have to come up with a new segment. Like that's it. It's no longer a diet. You have to put some. So
if I go over 200, I have to end the show.
You have to end the segment. The segment.
I can't believe I'm not getting more comments of people.
I'm saying if you go over 200 pounds again, you have to end this segment altogether. You have to be like, you know what? It's no longer a weight situation. I failed.
That's fair enough. That's putting me to the fire. And I wish I could say 195 on it. I was going to say July 4th, but maybe it is a month away.
How about this? The goal is from now until July 4th is to be less than you were the week before, one way or another.
Okay, so the new goal is to lose weight every week, even if it's a half a pound, third of a pound. Don't go above.
Yeah, because the best way to lose weight and keep it off is to do it a pound a week, half a pound a week, because then you're forming a new.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that. I agree with you there because I'm a fat bastard. But then at one point I'm going to go because the fall by Labor Day weekend, Rutgers plays Boston College, game 1. I think they play Saturday. I don't know what the weight amount's going to be, but I will have a Rutgers football starting NFL weight that I have to match. Now, who knows? It could be 185 by then. It could be 195 by then.
We'll see what Wimsat's weighing in at these days.
We'll see. I'll maybe I need to go to Shiano, and I never met Greg. I met him once at a basketball game for his kids. I want to go down there and meet the head coach of Rutgers football. I think he should know me because a lot of people don't know. Chris, maybe you don't know this, but my brother is unbelievably successful, right? He graduated Rutgers, but he didn't make the cover of Rutgers magazine, bro. And it was funny. I thought it was like shits and giggles, but that's a pretty cool. I got more response out of that.
Jimmy, the funny thing that you're saying right now is that I don't know. I have a signed copy that was hand delivered on like the 3rd day that you were here. You were like, I got these books. I was trying to impress you by. I know, and it's if you see where it is now. No, I'm kidding. Of course, it's in plastic, and you know what it's actually in between right now, which you should feel real good about. I put it in between the 1966 and the 1967 Packers team yearbooks, also in plastic. So it's sitting in between those, which I've showed you those.
So the bottom line is, did I sign it for you?
You did.
So maybe when this show becomes really big and it's like, remember we used to listen to Joe Rogan and now we're listening to the Jimmy Palumbo show because Doug here thinks I'm going to be as big as Joe Rogan. So maybe that little Rutgers profile magazine will be worth a lot of money. I should know what year it was. I guess it was 4 or 5 years ago, maybe more. I don't even know. But it's still pretty cool. And of course, the next month, I was wearing a black hat and my fedora with a black leather jacket. And some lady wrote in, "I'm sick and tired of these Jersey people, another Guido anti-Italian thing." I'm like, I didn't say anything. I'm half Irish, number one. I didn't say anything, but I was like, you know what? When you make the cover of a magazine, the people write in and they bust balls. I thought it was a wonderful article. And the history on that article was the guy followed me around and I got a phone call from a photographer that I thought they were going to put a little picture. I thought I was going to get a little blurb, like a half a paragraph. And the photographer, who's famous, can't think of his name right now. And he's like, I kept on saying the word cover shot. And I thought it meant that we're covering the article. So we need a cover shot for the printed word. You know what I mean? That's how he was saying it. Next thing you know, he meant cover shot like cover of the magazine. And I heard from the QT that they were choosing between the head coach of Rutgers basketball and then somebody else. And they were going because they just hired him, who ended up getting fired. I won't even say his name. It's how disgusted I was with him. Great Rutgers player, though. You should know who it is by now. But the editor just said, you know what? I'm tired of these athletes. Rutgers sports is not doing well. Let's put that nobody, Jimmy Palumbo, on the cover that he did the article on. And next thing you know, I'm like a young Nestor Cortez on the mound for the Rutgers magazine. But it was a lot of fun to be on that. But I got to go down and meet Shiano and I want to get involved over there more. I'd love that. So that's it. What the hell was I talking about after that? So that's it. 197.9. All right, let's get to my little quick sports news. Yankees, best record in baseball. And listen, when you're in first place and you're playing well, there's really nothing really to say, but I'm going to stick to this. I did a little research. I just can't handle like Gallo at 176. My new poster boy for stinks, is Rizzo. That's 215. I think he stinks. 215. Like we mocked out Gardner for batting low. And
I'm having a hard time with this, with you running down the list and including Rizzo.
Well, I'll tell you what, but hang on. I'm not done though. Then you got a guy we're paying way too much money for at 253, LeMahieu. Then you got the obvious like Hicks stinks and Higgy stinks. The too many players have low batting average. The Yankees are still winning because their pitching's been phenomenal. So I looked it up, and the Yankees' team batting average is 244. Okay, and that is 14th. So they have the best record in baseball. Okay, but their hitting is 14th, middle of the pack hitting. All right, in a year where no one's hitting well. Of course, the Mets I think are about 265 as a team. But the Yankees also have number one ERA in baseball. And pitching is huge. I get it. Except when you get to the playoffs. Then you get to really move those pitches around. And if you're not a good hitting team, you're screwed. Go look it up. Every time the Yankees have lost in the playoffs in the last 15 years is because they can't hit the more strategized pitching, lefty-righty scenarios.
Yeah, but I will say that every year during the regular season, it was the lineup that was good and the pitching that wasn't. And the Achilles heel in the playoffs has always been the pitching. So while I agree with you to some sense,
not true. You're wrong there. They don't hit during the playoffs. I guess I'm just tired of. I'm tired of guys like, oh, we love Rizzo, and I'm like, you know what?
Definitely not wrong.
I'm watching him. He stinks. He stinks, bro. You can't be batting 250. Anyway, every week I do the same thing.
He had a game-winning hit this week. In the game that Tyon had the perfect game, he hit a couple bombs. He had a good week. So based off of where he's been from last week, you have to give some credit. I think last week
Jeopardy question. When Rizzo got the base hit, how many times did the ball bounce before it got to second base? Like 9? Dude, that was a bumbling, weird angle just got through.
If Stanton hit it, you would have been in awe about how fast it went through the hole.
First of all.
But it's okay for Stanton hits ground balls because
Giancarlo his whole life. Did you see his line out the other day? His first game back, he hit a golf shot.
Yeah.
I almost texted you. I think I might have texted Dave. He hit a golf shot his second time up. Was caught by the fielder, but you can see the fielder was like Thank God I was paying attention when it took my head off. Listen,
my underlying point is I want to hear you say something good about the Yankees when they have the best record in baseball. Besides, they have the best record in baseball.
They lead the league in home runs. They're 6th in RBIs. I think the biggest thing is they play. They're also 2nd in defense. I don't know if you knew that. Did you know that?
I did.
So they're 14th in hitting, 1st in pitching, 2nd in defense. And of course, those are the 3 things you have to do well. The good teams usually do. But the lowest one is the middle of the pack hitting. That's because
middle of the pack hitting with the most home runs means to me it's a little bit better than middle of the pack.
But they don't have the most. They're not so great with RBIs as a team either. So there's a weird thing there. I just know when you watch the games. But getting back to positives, the Yankees do play better defense. They're faster. I got to give Boone a little credit. I think he opens them up a little bit. Some guys go on their own, except for Hicks should never go because he's not fast, never was.
I think
and I think the biggest thing about the Yankees, their pitching. There's been I made a joke the other night, someone, what's his name? One of the pitchers who pitched after the almost 2-perf game, he gave up a hit in the 2nd inning. I'm like, this guy can't pitch for the Yankees. You got to go at least 4 innings as a perfect.
Was it Montgomery?
It was Montgomery. I think I might have posted.
And he went, Facebook, and I think he pitched 7 innings, no runs that game.
But it was wait a minute, dude. If there's no perfect game through 4, I think I have
the Yankees stats here.
But the Yankees are playing well, of course. I'm just being picky. I think the batting averages are too low, and that will come back to bite them in the ass. That's me scoring at home.
So prior to yesterday, the Yankees starters all went at least 7 innings with a total 5 starts, 2 runs.
I get it. The Yankees have good pitching. They really do. And they have a good pitching top to bottom. ERA. Remember that old stat ERA, which no one goes by anymore? We could talk about the Rangers. Look, bottom line is Rangers lost a tough one last night. It was, you know what it was? I did something that I did it as an homage to my fanship of being a Ranger fan. Okay. Here's what I did. I had a softball game at 6:00, 10 minutes from my house. I watched as long as I could. Then I decided, you know what? I didn't really watch the Rangers all year. And I got to get to the game because I knew we were short guys. I got to get to the game, my loyalty to softball. But then I said, I'm going to do the most enjoyable thing you can do with media in sports. And that is to listen to Sam Rosen on the radio. Playoff hockey on the radio is insanity. I've done it. Don't ask me why I've done it many times in the car, even when I was a kid years ago. Playoff hockey on the radio is just wild because you have to kind of listen. You're forget about John Sterling. You can never do it. You have to you're completely listening to the announcer because he has to even let you know what end of the end, how fast it is in hockey back and forth. Even the NBA, so-and-so dribbles it up. It's not like that in hockey. And so I'm in the car. And of course, I'm like, I was going to pull up to the field and wait until the last minute to get out of the car. And then, of course, for 40 seconds, the bastard scored the goal. I was looking forward to overtime on my phone while we were playing in the dugout and having laughs with the guys. But they lost. Listen, Rangers didn't. I don't want to say they blew it. Tampa Bay's 2-in-a-row champs. But that's the kind of game, you kind of were, you got to win those kind of games. But they didn't. Tampa Bay hung in there. And there's nothing you could do, game 4 tomorrow night, because in the NHL, which is a men's league, the NHL goes Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, one day in between. The NBA, I just found out if this NBA series goes 7, the game 7 is going to be on August 8th. That's the date they want to have the NBA finals because they have 11 days in between games. It's obnoxious. So I love it. It's every other day, there's a Ranger game on. Only baseball does it better. Or occasionally have off. The Yankees have off tonight. But listen, it's fun. I'm enjoying my playoff fanship. I don't claim to know anything about hockey. I enjoy watching the games. I know a little bit now. I know a little bit more about the players, a little bit, because I'm watching 7-7. I'm on my, 20 games now? How many? 2 series? No. How many series has it been?
This is the 3rd series.
So I watched 17 games this year, playoffs. And so I know the names, Creeder and Fox and those guys and Panera and Jabana, who's my favorite player. He looks like he's in one of those Ben-Hur movies. He's playing hockey. And so I'm enjoying that. Tough loss, though, no doubt. So I did some stand-up this week, Christopher. I know Chris isn't into hockey, so I'm glad he's even comment, which makes it funnier to me. I did stand-up in Glen Rock. It was a weird show. It was a good show. I was headlining. It's my second sold-out show in 2 months, which is thank you from my friends and family and fans, if you want to call them, for showing up. My sister saying hello to me. Hi, Jimmy, right there. Hi, Marilyn. How you doing? That's my sister, Marilyn. She's the one who, she must be, the reason why she's saying hi is because I lost weight, because she's the one that got me on this fat bastard thing. But I did stand up. It was really weird because we were in this room, and when I first got there, it's at a restaurant, and the Stone and Rail. And when I first got there, the restaurant is literally on the train tracks. Like, literally, if you stick your hand outside of the train, you can almost get to the front door. And I remember going like, whoa, that's weird. You pull into the parking lot, like almost on the rails, right? So I go in there, and they have a little back room there. And I walked in, and I was like, wow, it's cold in here, like crazy cold. But I said, oh, that'll be good. There'll be a lot of people in here. I always sweat like a pig when I'm on stage, and therefore it'll be like good for me. So I didn't realize that other comedians were going on, but the way the doors were, I couldn't hear. The first guy went up, nice guy, met him backstage, couldn't hear a word he said. The second guy was an impressionist. He seemed like he was getting laughs. But during the show, the producer said, the comic said, I'll be on stage for 30 minutes. I said, good. So I look at my watch, because about 5 minutes ago, I start getting ready, getting fired up to get on stage. But the producer comes over and says, Jimmy, he says 30 minutes, but sometimes he does 12, 15, 18. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, where's the call to the bullpen? Like, I need to get that's not fair to me. Like, what's his last bit? And it was like his last bit is something about Michael Jackson, but I couldn't hear. So I had to be over ready, which I hate, because that's when your stomach starts to churn. You feel like you're going to shit yourself. I always feel like I have to take a shit for every show.
Yeah. I can relate.
So I don't feel that way in my podcast. That's because maybe I have more family members than listeners, but it ended up being a really nice show. But I got in the room. Now I'm thinking, okay, all the people in there, it's going to be like a little more hot. You know what I mean? I got in the room, and I swear, I guess they closed the doors. The room was even colder, and I had nothing else to say, but I looked at the audience. I just said, hey, everybody. I was like, Jesus, this is cold in here. And I could see every woman had their husband's jacket on. One lady was watching the show with her arms crossed. It was like a nice day out, It was so I did a few ice jokes and hanging meat, prosciutto, and gabagool material. But ended up being a nice show. I got some laughs, I think. I had some good friends that showed up too, which was fun. My one thing though, bro, I gotta fix this. I know I'm trying to lose weight. Now I gotta fix another thing. It's all about making Jimmy Palumbo a better man. I curse too much on stage. It's unbelievable. I don't want to say Jesus Christ all the time, because that's just not cool. I don't want to do that, even though it's a phrase that I say all the time. I don't want to do that. And I just curse. I say the F word. I would rather curse. I mean,
so I have a question now. I don't mean to cut you off, but I have a question. Is this something that you feel on your own by listening back, or was this said to you by maybe somebody that cares about you?
I've had a few people over the years tell me that. And what I tried to tell them, and what happens is if you tell somebody who's not in showbiz, they don't get it. If you tell somebody who's in showbiz, I say, yeah, if you really watch it though, sometimes I curse in a key area that needs the curse. And it also needs hey, you're at an R-rated show. I get that. But I curse as a nervous tick.
Yes.
I curse when I'm either confused about something, not confused about a bit, when to get out of the bit. A lot of them are throwaways. Like, I'll just say fuck, and they're just not needed. It's like, I listen to the tape, and now here's a crazy thing. I would say I cut my curses in the last 5 years. I've cut it 40%. That's how bad it must have been.
Do you know that you have told me that I curse too much on the show in the very beginning?
Right. And you probably don't as much now.
I don't.
You still do sometimes.
I do, but I think as well, it's like I curse. So if I cut it out completely, I would be unauthentic of me. Like, that's how I talk.
Yes. And if you curse, I think if you curse like on a podcast, it's really got to be to make a point. Like if I say like, Chris, what the fuck are you talking about? Right. That's part of a Jersey way of talking.
Like I'm trying to have.
But if it's just like, if I'm saying like, I'm like, Chris, what are you talking about? Why put the F word in there? It's the inflection. I just curse too much. And I actually make, now what I do to remind myself on stage, I actually say, am I cursing enough for you? Oh, there's a couple curses there. And sometimes for another minute or two, I won't curse. Even though one of my bits does have a curse word in it, which is fine. I don't mind that, because I would
imagine that this is a common issue amongst people in your position, just as like part of growth and content, and maybe even a podcast or a comic.
The really good ones don't curse that much. They really don't.
I agree.
Watch them. Now again, sometimes here's another problem that I got to text. This is for all my friends and family out there. When you're judging me as a stand-up, or you're calling me up to talk about the show, I don't mind. Matter of fact, you learn from people sometimes. Here's what I can't have. Well, when I used to watch George Carlin, okay, that's like Chris playing softball on a Wednesday and me going, Chris, I was watching Joe DiMaggio. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to hear about Richard Pryor, George Carlin, any of these guys. And number one, I don't want to hear, I was watching on Netflix. Do you realize that some guys got Netflix specials when they shouldn't have, but I won't mention names. But that is someone
it's a very, very big thing amongst the comedians right now. There's huge things happening with that.
But you're talking about a culmination of hard work and stand-up to get that tight set. Then we're talking about they usually tape 2 separate shows on the same night. They'll have a 6 p.m. and a 9 p.m. Then the comedian gets to watch the show in between. If they have like a half hour, they'll go through with a producer and a director, and they go through everything. Plus, they can edit out. They can't edit out like a curse per se, but they can use one bit from the other show and blah blah blah. So you can't go by a Netflix special.
Plus, it's like Michael Jordan against a regular, like a high school basketball player. Like,
high school, me, I'm a grammar school player. I mean, so. You can't compare. I've been watching a lot of stand-up. Oh yeah, you're watching like Jeter play, and I'm over there at Sobin Field in Colonia
with Dick Donovan.
Dick Donovan, yeah, that's so great. You just said Dick Donovan. That's why I do this show. I do this show for one reason, people, to say something like Sobin Field, okay, which I don't even care how you know what. It's probably not even called Sobin anymore, is it? It probably got renamed.
It is. It's Sobin and Donnelly, and it might be Al Gephardt. Remember, there might be a Gephardt, something with the Gephardt family.
I think the field was called Sobin, and it was called Penn, and they renamed it Donnelly after he died. He was always there. What a great guy he was. His family's nice too. That's so funny. I just said Sobin Field, and you knew what I was talking about. I love it. That's why you're on the show, Chris. That's why you're here. But yeah. Anyway. I got to eliminate
was the deeper park. Sobin had 10 more feet on it.
That was the one closer to the main road there. And then they built that big listen, a couple of guys hit some shots off the stand.
Yeah.
The wall that was part of the food stand. Okay, I know. Listen, my buddy Pat
Rumor has it Dick Donovan is still taking a walk over the Parkway Bridge on his way headed towards Food Town. Like I saw in his green
great.
LFLC jacket.
So great. I remember all the umpires, coaches I had, Mr. Garda, Mr. Bazolka. I'm going to give a shout out to Gene Bazolka. God rest his soul. He and Johnny's going to laugh at this. He actually assistant coach with my Uncle Henry, and I wasn't a good little league player. I was 2 feet in the air. I weighed about 8 pounds, and even if I made contact, if I hit the ball as hard as I could, if I pulled the ball as hard as I could, it landed 4 feet in front of the third baseman. So, but Mr. Bazolka would come out and pitch to us. You know what I mean? And you know what? He was probably 40 at the time, I guess, or maybe even younger. To pitch to little kids, and like you have to pitch to everybody at practice. Try it someday. I would kill a kid. I couldn't do it now, but he would. But what happened was I give him so much respect. He was a great unlimited arc softball pitcher in Warbridge. But here's the best part: his kid quit. His son Mike got into rock and roll and stuff, and he's even a great guitar player now. And Mr. Bazolka the next year still coached because maybe he was pissed his son quit baseball. Probably, I don't know.
Or he just liked coaching.
or like coaching. And he actually, still the next year, I remember he'd be out there, he would take his shirt off and everything. He would come in. And then for a while, he probably threw 80 pitches. I wish he was alive. I did talk to him once about it. He used to say, "Oh, my shoulder used to hurt, blah, blah, blah." But big shout out to Colonia Little Fellows League of America. And some old coaches, my Uncle Hank. And listen, there's another classic story. My Uncle Hank coached Little League. Okay. This is a classic story about my father. I don't think I've ever told on the air. So they were identical twins. So my Uncle Hank used to coach the kids. And my father would come to the games and watch me play, and my brother and all that stuff. But my Uncle Hank went away on vacation. So he said, hey, Otto, can you run the team? Yeah, okay. But nobody gave my father the memo, Little League rules. Okay, so we had one practice, right? And we had a doubleheader, all right? So, of course, my father was treating it like he was like Miller Huggins, okay? He was all in. But the best part is we're playing, and I played the first game, right? And then 2 innings, and he got me out of there. And by the middle of the second game, a father comes over and says, "Hey, Mr. Palumbo, we've been down here for 2 hours now. My son hasn't played." And my father's like, "Oh, which one's your kid?" And the guy points to a kid, and my father goes, "Oh, he can't play on my team. He's not good enough. Best 9 play here." Which my father always believed in the best 9 play. Could you imagine being a dad?
But honestly, you could be like, "Look, my son's sitting right next to him."
But he didn't do it mean. He did it like it was like somebody was challenging him, as if he thought
it was very matter of fact.
He was like, "Oh, the best 9 player."
Aren't we supposed to play to win here?
Next thing you know, the league director came over. The league director came over and Artie Lowe, no, they got to go 3 innings and 4 innings. My father was like, I don't know anything about this. Is my audio coming in? I feel like it's coming in and out.
Good.
Doesn't sound good to me. But so it was completely my dad. My dad was embarrassed. He goes, "Oh," and he put the kid in. But to my dad's respect, he said, he goes, "Now your kid's not that bad. I just got to work with him a little bit." So my dad was into that. And so was my uncle. My uncle's a good coach. But they always tried to make the kids better, not about just penciling in. But my dad, he didn't know. He also argued balls and strikes by walking right up to the umpire during play. So the umpire didn't hear him say timeout. The pitch is coming in, and my dad's in the umpire's face, arguing over the size of the batter's box because the umpire called somebody stepping out of the box. My father had his tape measure. You don't know the size of the box. You don't know anything about baseball. What's going on? And supposedly the league director told my uncle that, "Please, can we never, ever have your brother
coach again?"
Bro, but you know what I started thinking about it? Best 9 play, bro. How great is that? Best 9 play. That way,
I was at my niece's flag football game yesterday, and the problem was that they didn't let the best 9 play, and they were giving everybody the ball. And my niece is getting the ball, and she's running 80 yards in the backfield to avoid getting her flag pulled. But they got some guys in this league, some little kids in this league that are NFL ready. They should not be playing against my 5-year-old niece. And of all things, it was the Packers against the Giants yesterday. The Giants
Packers versus the Giants.
The Old Bridge Packers. What?
So the Giants won?
The Giants completely dominated. When I say they had a kid that didn't get touched, he had 7 carries, 700 yards, and 7 touchdowns.
We got to talk to your guy over there, the Sauce. Is that a preview of this NFL season?
It is not.
And maybe the Giants are going to be way better
in London, all the way over in London.
We got to have a stat. Call the Sauce, who's their gambling guy. We got to do the over and under on your Giants Packers versus your Giants Packers in your 5-year-old niece's flag football league. First of all, I didn't know 5-year-old girls can play.
It's so. Look, I don't mind that she's playing because she could definitely handle it. At that age, guys and boys and girls it's just go out there and have a good time. But some of the kids and some of the dads are taking this real serious with their 5-year-old, and understandable. You want your kid to go out there and be the best, but it's the only thing about flag football about it is stopping the ball. You got a kid that knows how to block. That's lead blocking on an end around and laying people out.
I played flag football at Rutgers my freshman year, and I thought it was a fun game.
No, the only thing that's flag is stopping the ball. Everything else is full contact. The pads actually help.
What it is, it's tackle the guy And after you tackle them, take the flag off. That's the league we were in. I heard there's really good leagues out there.
Yeah.
With the referee.
There's more fights in flag football than there is in.
Listen, I was too scrawny and please. What else? So that's it on that. Couple of things. I had 2 big auditions this week, which I recorded one here and the other one, Doug couldn't be bothered, so I had to do it at my place. I just love throwing Doug under the bus.
Thank you.
Now, you know the thing, Chris, Doug's a little new at me throwing my producers under the bus. So maybe you guys have to have a little conference call and say, occasionally Jimmy will throw you under the bus. Because it's uncanny how good
I've been thrown under the bus 13 times on this episode, probably.
I can see the tire tracks on your forehead.
No, because Chris has the ability to be an unbelievable producer.
Yeah.
But then again, he has the ability to, boot an easy ground ball. Which, by the way, I just got a message that my other podcast is not on Spotify and Captivate, which we'll talk about that off the air. We'll figure that out.
On the air throwing?
Yeah.
On the air throwing you under the bus.
Well, I don't give a shit. You could throw me under the bus all you'd like.
Hey,
I refrain from firing back, but me and Jimmy will have a stiff conversation after this. About said podcast.
The best thing is after the show, it's like, I think one time I thought maybe Chris was mad at me. Then after the show, he's like, "Hey, what's up, man?" Believe me.
No, I'm good. I can take a punch.
Take a punch. If I was going to do a show and actually be mad at somebody, that would be ridiculous. But I had 2 big auditions, and I'm going through. We named the show this Audition Anxiety. You know why? Because I'm right for both parts. I should book these, and they're high-profile projects. They're recurring roles on these new TV shows. And I feel like Andahar on the Yankees. Why are they going to go with Gallo? I'm better. Play me. And I'm waiting for my phone to ring. And I did the auditions early, so they really weren't due till like Thursday, Friday of last week. So now I'm like, I call it a stare at my cell phone day, where I'm staring at my cell phone, waiting for my manager agent to go and say, "Jimmy, they want you to call back or something." And it could be 1974, and they might as well call my mother's house at this point. So I'm very frustrated over that. And today I got another kind of a cool audition for an HBO Max show, which, by the way, I am on HBO Max, the that damn Michael Che show. I'm in the first episode, about halfway through. Very funny show about podcasting. I'm actually wearing podcast mics. I don't know if I even want to discuss what the material is, because it's kind of well, maybe it's racist, but it's funny, and I play a racist guy too, which is even worse. But it's a funny sketch written by Michael Che, so God bless himself. But I got another audition today for HBO Max, and you're in the league 32 years, okay? And Chris, what do you think my character's name was?
What? Jimmy? No idea. Why would I know? I'm guessing Jimmy. Okay. Because I have no idea. It's such a broad question that
I know, and I apologize. I'm not throwing you on the bus. I'll put you on the spot.
I feel like my girlfriend being like, "Guess what?" And I have to literally guess what. I don't know. My character's name
is Security Guard Number 1. Now let me teach all you young actors out there. The minute you think you got it going on, and you think you're doing really well, you're booking TV shows, and your character has a number next to it, it's either Security Guard Number 1. It could be. Now, listen, I'm thrilled it's Security Guard Number 1 because there's some asshole who's going to book the role of Security Guard Number 2. Okay. If your name, I've had Sick Fat Bastard. I've had a Creepy Guy Number 1. Imagine that. Creepy Guy. And I get a number on top of it. I've gotten Pizza Worker Number 2, all these different things. There's nothing worse when you get an audition, you're all excited, you click on the sides, which are that's the part you got to read. And it's not even like Bill, or there's no description. It doesn't say entering Bill, mid-50s, good-looking fella, or, it usually says Bill, 50s, slouchy.
It's to say grandfather walks in.
Right. Grandfather can't play
zero backstory.
Does a shitty podcast. Can't play softball anymore. Enter scene. There's no description of them. So and makes it where I'm playing a security guard at a museum. Okay, which is even worse. I'm not even a real cop or security guard, and it's in 1928. So that to me is just it's so. But what's sad? I can't wait to do the audition.
So how are you going to pull off playing an old fat bastard from 1928?
I don't. You know how I'm going to do it? I'm going to play it. Jimmy Palumbo goes back in time, and that's it. So that's what I have to do. It's such a. It's just depressing. You want to have a character name. Sometimes though, when you book these things, and the director likes you, they give you a name on set. How great is that? So in the credits it says Bill, and you feel good about yourself. But that's what's going on there. That means I'll
have a 1920s voice. Like, come here, you say.
I'm not going to say. No, but that's more 40s film noir.
All right.
I'm going to talk like me. There had to be assholes talking like me back then. But I probably won't push the Jersey accent as much. Also, I played softball. I did a couple things this weekend. Number one, yesterday I played pickleball in the morning. Everybody knows I play pickleball. It really is another really goofy sport. It's so easy to play pickleball. It's hard to be really, really good at it. But like, Chris, if you played pickleball for like 8 minutes, you'd be fine.
I'm dominating you.
No, I'm way better than you because I play tennis. I'm better than you in all racket sports. I told you that. But I, yesterday, for the first time ever, played for 2.5 hours. I was solely responsible for every game we lost. I was solely responsible for the loss. I would say, and I'm not making this up, I'm a pretty good pickle player when I get into it. I'm going to say I blew. I say blew, I mean, I hit the ball out, double faulted, blah, blah, blah. 70% of the points of it got to the point where I played like 6 different games. It got to the point where I was like, by the third game, I was like, oh my God. Like I needed to be taken off out of go to the left-hander, right? Get Jimmy out of there. And the one guy who I never played with, because you rotate around, about 60 people playing on these courts. This one guy really in shape, kind of a creepy pickle guy. I was so bad in the beginning, but I was trying to tell him, hey, dude, I'm pretty good. I don't know what happened. I don't have it today for some reason. He didn't know that. So he started being like kind of coaching me as if like I just picked up the sport yesterday. And I wanted to look at him and say, you jackass, don't tell me. But my play was of such
you got to just sit there and take your medicine.
I just said,
sometimes.
Yes, sir. I'll try that. Like I was like, and then we got done. I was so angry off the court. I was like, I stink. And then of course I played softball, and something unique happened. I was 2 for 3 on the day. I hit 2 frozen ropes over the third base. I got the whole belly into it. I ripped it. Played well. Made a nice play in the outfield too. Here's the funny thing: we lost like 17-1. And guess who had the only RBI? Yours truly, Johnny Trino, with the only RBI. And the other team knew I was from beer league, so they started harassing me. But the other team did something, and I know, Chris, you're so going to disagree. Maybe you'll agree with me on this. If you were on my team yesterday, you would have agreed with me. But maybe because of the show, you won't. I don't know. I'll tell you what happened. You know, in softball, when you're up big, 20, it might have been 20-1. I don't even know. But it was clear that we had no chance of when they were younger, better. We weren't going to win this game. There was no chance. Plus, we were down very early. It was 7-0 in the first inning. You know, when there's a certain style of play you have when you're playing softball now. You got to station to station, not going for a triple when you hit it. There's little things you can do, not going for a double play by throwing home, back to third, going for the triple play. Like there's little things when you're up by 19 runs in the 6th inning where, hey, slow it down a little bit. You know what I mean? Like that's you're not going to, it's clear you're not going to lose the game. We were making errors. I'm not that good anyway. And so I'm sitting there, and some of the plays they were doing were borderline, but I said, I got to get in these guys' skin a little bit. Just when you're losing, you're just like, I'm going to throw that. I'm going to try to shoot somebody from a distance, even though I have no chance. And I was like, I started barking at the shortstop, like, come on, bro, getting triples now, doubles, station to station, stuff like that. They were trying to throw guys out on a base hit, throwing the ball to first. Like, that's so a no-no in my book. I don't know how you feel about that.
No, I agree. There's an etiquette. You want to do that shit in a playoff game, by all means. When it's time to win a game that means something, but if it's 17-0 and you're trying to embarrass people in front of their loved ones, no, I'm not okay with that.
That's what it was. And I said to myself, I looked at the guy and I said, no, because I started watching them. Even though they took a big lead, they didn't hit that much after that. And but anyway, I just got on a little bit on that. So listen, we got another exciting thing. Obviously, we got June 26th, Big Chop Sports Day at Merrill Park on a Sunday. And also tomorrow I will be launching, ladies and gentlemen, check out Jimmy Palumbo's Patreon. Will at least officially launch by, I'm going to put it on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram as soon as I get in touch with my social media guy who's sitting 3 feet from me and say, hey, why don't we post every now and then about something? My Patreon, we're going to have 3 levels. We're going to have a $3, a $5, and a $10. You're going to get all kinds of things at each level. I'm still working out all the details. Trust me, you'll get good stuff. I'll be available to you to do all this crazy Patreon stuff. And I'm even going to make Chop Sports Daily Show, bring it up tomorrow on the air if I get everything done today. And we're going to have some fun on this Patreon thing. And I'm hoping that my mother and sister at least give me $3 a month. For $3 a month, you just basically get nothing. See, let there be light over there.
Yeah, so, no, we have I told you, we have like this. I'll talk to you off air about it.
Okay.
Later on, little virtual reality thing that we got going on here. Augmented reality.
But your stuff will only be on Patreon.
It'll only be on Patreon. Go check it out. And I really appreciate anybody supporting this show. I love it. And me, blah, blah, blah. I've never done this Patreon thing. I think it's creepy, but everyone's doing it. And so I want to be able to, support the show and do better things and have some fun. But, we forgot. I have to throw this in, bro. cornholelevel.com. We have to wait to the very end. How pissed is Caprio going to be? Ladies and gentlemen, listen, on June 26th, I'm having a big barbecue, okay? And cornholelevel.com is this awesome gadget where you click on the board. I just gave one to my daughter. She just got a new cornhole board. You got to go to cornholelevel.com. 20% off if you put in JP Show or Chop Sports. This thing is a little device. You put it in the hole, and it totally levels out your board, the proper height. It's the coolest little thing. It's only $19.95. It's available at cornholelevel.com. You could use it indoors and outdoors at your favorite barbecue. Getting involved, Chris. You know the product. You've seen it. You think it's cool. You guys talk about it on your show. It's my buddy Mike Caprio's company. He's a Met fan. I just threw that in. He's a Met fan. So that doesn't mean Yankee fans can't buy this gadget. Here's the great thing about this gadget. Not only does it work, it's a great classic jerk-off thing to bring to a barbecue. And if you don't get at least a half-hour conversation out of this with your buddies, especially the ones who think they're really good at cornhole, which, again, Chris, you and I know, give us 20 minutes playing cornhole. We're as good as anybody at the barbecue. That's how it works. It's not a man's game. It's not horseshoes. It's cornhole level. So please go to cornholelevel.com. And I assure you, Mike, next week you will lead off the show with cornholelevel.com. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next week. I know Chris has got a big meeting. I got to let him go. And we will see you next week with a very special guest.
See if it comes true this time.
Are you ever going to get that ending right? No, I don't think so.
Right, I'll get it right.
Where have you come from?